Hello, welcome to lesson 55 of this B1 course with Perfectly Spoken. My name is Ellen and I am your teacher for the rest of this course. And today we have got a review lesson. So we are going to review all of the vocabulary, all of the grammar that we looked at in lessons 51, 2, 3 and 54. Okay? So this is a real opportunity for you to consolidate everything that we have studied. We've studied so much stuff. So let's have a look. Let's get started. So this is lesson 55, like I said, and today we will review lessons 51 to 54. And this involves so much stuff. We've looked at adjectives, comparative superlatives, ed and ing adjectives, shopping vocabulary, language to place an order and language to make a complaint, dependent prepositions, and conditionals, the zero, first, and second conditional. Okay, so there's an awful lot of stuff there. An awful lot of stuff means a lot of stuff. Okay, but we need to be ready. So I would get your notebook, a pen or a pencil, and hopefully your notes from the lessons when we studied these things to help you remember. And because I'm going to be checking to see whether you did your homework in lesson 52. So yes, you need your example homework. The first thing we're going to do today is review lesson 51. When we were looking at adjectives, okay, and comparatives and superlatives. Here we have got 10 sentences. I'd like you to go through the sentences and find the mistakes. What is the mistake and correct the mistake. So you could copy these sentences or just write the correct sentence as you wish. So pause the recording on this slide and correct the mistakes in these 10 sentences. Then we'll come back together and look at the mistakes, okay, and see how you got on. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. How did you do in the first task for today? Could you remember how to use comparative and superlative adjectives correctly? The correct use of than, as, irregular adjectives. Was it all familiar to you? Okay, let's have a look. Here are the answers. Okay, so answers to task 1. Number 1, she is the most intelligent person I know. Number 2, he is always smiling and she is always miserable. He is much happier than her. Number 3, Daisy is the kindest person I know. Number 4, Darwin is the best student in the class. Number 5, your food is more delicious than my mum's. Number 6, he is taller than his brother. Number 7, she is better than me at maths. Number 8, he is the worst in the class. Number 9, Spain and Texas are the same size. Spain is as big as Texas. And number 10, English is easier than Arabic. Okay? Okay, how did you get on? Can you remember how to form the comparative, the superlative, how to say two things are the same? As big as good as. Irregular adjectives like good, bad, far. Was it all ringing a bell? Was it all familiar? I hope so. I hope that you've got notes or that you can remember, or and that you can remember. Okay, we're going to keep looking at adjectives now, and we're going to move on to task 2. And this was looking at participle adjectives. Participle adjectives end in ed or ing. So I want you to look at these 5 sentences and decide which participle adjective you need to complete the sentence. Okay, so have a look and decide. Is it, for example, number 1, I'm going to talk to John. You are so bored, or you are so boring. Which one do you think it is? Okay, and write down your answers to these 5. Okay, very good. Let's have a look at the answers together. So, what participle adjective did we need? So number 1, I'm going to talk to John. You're so boring. It's not very nice. You wouldn't say that to many people. Number 2, I learned a lot. That documentary was very interesting. Number 3, drama is the most exciting subject I study. Number 4, did you sleep last night? You look very tired. Number 5, my history teacher has done so much in her life. She is very inspiring, and I feel inspired when I talk to her. Okay, I hope that you can remember when the adjective ends in ed, it means it's the way that you feel. It's the emotion that you receive. When it ends in ing, it's the emotion you give. So if somebody is interesting, you feel interested. If somebody or something is exciting, you feel excited. Okay, so remember that difference. Lots of people, even very high levels, make mistakes with those adjectives and can't remember which one to choose. So be careful. Well done. Let's do one last activity with adjectives. Okay, and this is speaking practice. And I would like you to use different adjectives to compare these things that I'm going to show you. Okay, here are some example adjectives, but use other adjectives if you would like to. Okay, so I've chosen loyal, hot, wrong, easy, fun, bad, complicated, good, and healthy. Okay, so speaking to yourself, with a partner, with somebody else studying English, I'd like you to compare these things. India and Saudi Arabia, how would you compare them? Which place is hotter? Okay, and practice speaking out loud. Practice forming the words. If you want to write it down too, that would be brilliant to practice your spelling, because here we have got some irregular adjectives. Okay? Okay, how would you compare these things? American English and Australian English. How would you compare cats and dogs? How would you compare pizza and salad? How would you compare French and Chinese? How would you compare the sun and the snow? How would you compare the summer and the winter? How would you compare a party and reading a book? How would you compare you and your best friend? Okay, I hope that you paused the recording then and got lots of speaking practice, or if you were writing, lots of writing practice. But that was a great opportunity to remember the rules to do with comparative adjectives and superlative adjectives. Okay, so that's the end of our review of adjectives for today. We're now going to think back to lesson 52. Which was when we went shopping. We had lots of language for going shopping, lots of vocabulary, lots of useful structures as well for ordering and complaining. And that's what we're going to remember now. Okay. So first of all, some vocabulary specific to shopping. I would like you to complete these 4 sentences using these words, okay? So you have got 1 extra. Let's have a look. You've got 1 extra to complete the sentences, but complete them with borrow, can't afford, save up for, pay back, the sales, lend, and receipts. Okay? Remember the pronunciation of receipts. It's spelled receipts, but we don't pronounce the P. Receipts. Okay? It's very strange pronunciation. Anyway, now I'd like you to look at these 4 sentences with 6 gaps and complete them with one of those words or phrasal verbs, expressions at the top. Okay, so pause the recording and complete the sentences. Okay, welcome back. How did that go? How did you get on? Let's have a look at the answers and you can compare to your answers. So here we go. The answers. I love going shopping during the sales. I never borrow money nor lend money unless it's an emergency. I always mistake there. I hope that you've spotted my mistake. I always check, no S. I always check my receipts after buying something. If I can't afford something I need, I save up for it and I buy it later. Which of these are true for you? Okay, you will know from my lessons that I like practicing speaking, and this is another opportunity for you to practice speaking. Okay, I can't hear you, but hopefully you're studying with somebody, or you can talk to yourself or to your cat and practice speaking out loud, because that will help you to remember the vocabulary. Okay, so talking together or on your own, which of these sentences are true for you? Okay. Okay, very good. Well done. I hope you did lots of speaking or writing then, and I hope that you can remember this vocabulary. Okay, we're going to continue now with the shopping situation, and we're going to think about ordering and complaining. Okay, these were the 2 things that we looked at. We looked at language for ordering and language for complaining. Now I'm going to give you sentences that the customer might say. I want you to decide if they're ordering or complaining. Okay, so I'll read out the sentence and you just shout out ordering or complaining. Okay, off we go. Here's the first one. Can I have a kilo of tomatoes, please? Ordering or complaining? What do you think? It is ordering. How much is delivery? How long does it take? Ordering or complaining? What do you think? It is ordering. And the next one. The sign in the shop window said the melons were on special offer, but the receipt shows I paid the full price. Ordering or complaining? Complaining. The delivery was late. Ordering or complaining? That is complaining. The service I received was not satisfactory. Ordering or complaining? Complaining. Can I speak to the manager, please? Ordering or complaining? Of course it is complaining. Okay, very good. Now, using some of that language, I'd like you to think back to lesson 52. In lesson 52, you went to a shop and ordered a dress in blue, jeans in black, and a jumper in red. 3 weeks later, and your order has not been delivered. You are not happy. So you go to the shop to complain. Okay, your homework task was to write a dialogue with the shop assistant. I hope you did your homework. I won't know, but you know whether you did it or not. And I'm going to give you now an example answer that you can compare to your homework. Okay, so here is an example answer for making a complaint. First of all, the shop assistant might say, "Good morning, madam. How can I help you?" And the customer, "Good morning. I would like to make a complaint." "Ooh, what is the problem?" says the shop assistant. And the customer says, 3 weeks ago, I placed an order. I was told they would be delivered within 15 working days, but they still haven't arrived." And the shop assistant says, "What items did you order and in what colour?" The customer remembers, "I ordered a blue dress, black jeans and a red jumper." The shop assistant says, "I'm afraid we have no record of your order." And the customer is not happy. That is very unprofessional. The service I have received in your shop is not satisfactory. The shop assistant might reply, "I'm very sorry you feel that way." And the customer, "Can I speak to the manager, please?" And the shop assistant, "Of course, but she is busy at the moment." Convenient, hey? Okay, so was your dialogue similar to my example dialogue? I hope that you remember to use lots of those expressions that we looked at in the lesson. But lots of useful vocabulary if you do ever go shopping and need to place an order or make a complaint. Okay, so that was lesson 52. Then in lesson 53, what did we study? Can you remember? Lesson 53, prepositions. Okay, these are really super useful when you're learning phrasal verbs, when you're just expressing position or so many different things. Okay, we actually looked at them as dependent prepositions, so in fixed expressions, collocations they're called. Okay, so I'm going to read out some sentences to you, and you have to say which preposition is missing. So again, just shout it out. Okay, so I'll read out a sentence with a beep, and when I say beep, you have to shout out the preposition. Okay, off we go. The first one, she apologized, beep, her sister. And the answer is she apologized to her sister. She apologized to her sister, beep, for getting her birthday. She apologized to her sister for forgetting her birthday. Okay. The little boy believes, beep, ghosts. The little boy believes in ghosts. They are addicted to computer games. They are addicted to computer games. I'm so excited. My holidays. I'm so excited about my holidays. The trouble, English, is all the prepositions. The trouble with English is all the prepositions. And that is so true. As I've said many, many times, prepositions are very, very important. And in English, we have so many prepositions. That was just a selection of some of the prepositions. So the thing that I suggested and that I mentioned before is learning collocations, learning a verb, a noun, an adjective, and the dependent preposition that goes with it. If you learn it together, it will make it so much easier when you're speaking, okay? And so much easier to understand other people as well. So in the next task, task 5, that's the answers to task 5. Now we're on task 6. So I would like you to complete these sentences with a noun, a verb, adjective or adjective, and a correct dependent preposition. Okay, so you will need to pause the recording, think about it, look back at your notes. Hopefully you've written lots of notes of different collocations and different prepositions that are needed, and complete these sentences, okay, in task 6. So pause on this slide, pause the recording here. Okay, very good. Let's have a look at the answers together. Okay, so here are the answers. Number 1, they agreed with each other on a suitable solution to the problem. Number 2, be quiet and listen to the instructions. Number 3, when their son won the football match, they were so proud of him. Number 4, I studied biology in university because I'm very interested in understanding the natural world. Number 5, my sister is scared of spiders. Number 6, there are many homeless people. There is a demand for more housing. Number 7, with so many cars on the road, there has been a rise in pollution. Okay, how did you get on? Can you remember some of those collocations? I hope so, and I hope it's becoming more natural. The more you use the language, the more natural it becomes. Okay, so very good, well done. Let's move on to the next task. Okay, in lesson 54, we were looking at the 0, the first, and the second conditional. Okay, and when I'm teaching conditionals, I like to get my students to be aware of and to think about time, tense, and probability. They're really important for understanding which conditional you need and how to form that conditional. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick review of my terminology. I always talk about time, tense, probability. What is Ellen the teacher talking about? So I'm going to give you different expressions or words, and I want you to say out loud again time, tense, or probability. So the first one is present simple. Is that time, tense, or probability? It is tense. Impossible. Time, tense, or probability? It is probability. And yesterday. Time, tense, or probability? What do you think? that is time. And last year, time, tense, or probability. That is time. Always true. Time, tense, or probability. This is tricky. Can you remember? Time and probability. Will, won't, time, tense, or probability. This is tense. Okay, so what am I talking about when I talk about time, tense, and probability? In English, time and tense are very different. I know in some other languages, time and tense, it's the same word, even though it's the same word. In English, it is not. And it's important to understand the difference. Because, for example, in the second conditional, you use a future tense to talk about the future. You use a past tense to talk about the present. So you need a past tense to talk about present time. That's a little bit strange, a little bit confusing. Okay, I hope you can remember the lesson and that this means something to you when I talk about time, tense, and probability. And remembering those things, I'd like you to complete these sentences. So this is task 7, and complete sentences 1 to 6 with the 0 conditional, the first conditional, or the second conditional. Okay, remember that time and tense is different. How probable do you think it is? Which conditional do you need? Okay, off you go. Pause the recording here and complete the sentences. Good luck. Okay, welcome back. How did you get on? Let's have a look at the answers. I'm sure you did very, very well, but let's just make sure you can remember how to form these conditionals. So here are the answers to task 7. Number 1, I usually see Mary at work. So if I see her, I will tell her your news. So here we have got the first conditional, and we've got see, will tell. And number 2, I only sleep 4 hours a night. If I slept more, I would feel energized. So here, this is the second conditional. This is improbable. Okay, it is possible, but it's improbable. Number 3, if you heat water, it boils. This is the 0 conditional, and it's always true. Number 4, if you need help with your homework, your sister will help you. Okay, this is the first conditional, and it's possible, and it's probable. Number 5, if he wanted to talk to her, he would call her, but he doesn't. Okay, so here we've got the second conditional. It is possible, but it's improbable. And number 6, we will have a picnic if the weather is dry. This is the first conditional. This is possible and probable. Okay, so how did you get on there? I hope that you can remember how to form these conditionals. And again, like with prepositions, the more you use them, the more natural it becomes, the easier it is to construct the sentences. Okay, we're going to do one last activity today, and of course, it's a speaking activity. I like speaking activities. So here, I'm going to give you 2 questions, 2 STEM questions, the beginning of the question, and I would like you to practice asking the questions and answering the questions. So if you're, as I have said before, if you're working with somebody, that's fantastic. If you're working on your own, that's fine as well. Okay, so I want you to use your imaginations and finish off these questions. What will you do if you go out this weekend? What will you do if you go on holiday this summer? What would you do if you won the lottery? What would you do if you were offered a job in London? Okay, so use your imaginations and complete the questions and answer the questions. In your answers, practice using the contractions I'll, I'd, I wouldn't, I won't, and sounding natural when you're answering them. Okay, so practice speaking. Okay, welcome back. Very good. I hope you've done lots of speaking today. I hope that you've remembered lots of things from these lessons that we studied together, and that we studied a lot of stuff, grammar, vocabulary, lots and lots of things. So I hope that you can remember lots of this language. And that's all for today. So I hope you've enjoyed it. And I hope that you can join me next lesson. In next lesson, which is lesson 56, we will learn about the third conditional. Okay, so we've looked at the 0, the first and the second conditional. Now we're going to learn about the third conditional. Your English is getting really good. So we're going to learn about the third conditional and think about form, meaning and use. Okay, and we're also using this language, using the third conditional, we're going to practice talking about past situations we cannot change. Okay, so that's going to be another fun lesson, looking at the third conditional, extending your language even more, making you even more proficient in your English language speaking. Okay, so I really hope you can join me. It will be a grammar lesson. So be ready with your notebook and your pen, as you always are, of course. And thank you for joining me today, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Goodbye.